Hi, my name is Mark. I'm with votesmartns.ca, and today I am talking with Premier Darrell Dexter, leader of the NDP.
For me, it's about finishing what we started. We came in with a program which I think has really fundamentally changed the province over the last 4 years in many different areas. And obviously we want to complete the work that we started. When we came into the province, we had a massive deficit. We were suffering under one of the largest recessions since the Great Depression. We now have the highest credit rating in the province's history. We have more foreign direct investment in our province than at any time in the past, and more specifically, we have more investment per capita than any other province or any other state in North America. And we've done all that at the same time while we managed to reduce the number of low-income Nova Scotians by 10%, the largest drop that they have ever recorded.
So the message I'm hearing sort of from your campaign is that we spent most of the last 4 years cleaning up shop, the messes that came from previous governments,
right,
and the real work is starting in the next term.
Well, no, I think we've actually laid the foundation for the success that's there. I mean, we won the largest industrial contract in our province's history. Over the next 4 years, you will see about 11,000 jobs coming to this province as a result of that. Because the Conference Board of Canada says that that's what's associated with those shipbuilding contracts. It's a huge investment. It would be the same as winning the Olympics every year for 30 years.
So last week we heard that more Nova Scotians left in the previous quarter than in any quarter for decades. Looking at young Nova Scotians in particular, are there going to be the opportunities that we need to have to stay here, and how could you address that?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't trust those numbers, and essentially because there are wild fluctuations in quarterly reports. And I think, though, that the fundamental question, which is how do we keep young people here, is exactly the one that we have been addressing. So fundamentally, people need to have work. They need to have jobs, and they need to have a premier who is prepared to stand up at every instance and ensure that they're fighting to bring every single job possible to this province. And that is exactly what we have been doing. So when you see 10,000 jobs coming down the pipe from something like the National Shipbuilding Procurement Strategy, when you see us being able to bring a company like IBM here to set up their global delivery center, that's an important signal. When you see a company like Projects coming to Nova Scotia to hire young engineers, those are the kinds of things that we need to have in this province in order to make sure that young people can stay here.
I also want to ask you about being a New Democrat and what that means. Because a lot of people are looking at the political parties from a policy standpoint and saying, is there that big of a difference? So I guess stepping back from policy for a second at a very foundational level, what does it mean to you to be a New Democrat or a Social Democrat here in Nova Scotia?
Well, I mean, those questions are always difficult for people to try to get their hands around, because they are in fact about the kinds of values that you have as a party. And as a party, we arose out of a broken economic system in the 1920s and 30s, where the fundamental issues that were before the public at the time had to do with questions associated with economic equity, the ability of people to be treated fairly in an economy that didn't seem to recognize that people come into their lives with different strengths and challenges, and that those have to be accommodated and worked with. So that's what the New Democrats are about. They're about social justice, about economic justice, ensuring that our world is a fairer place, one that recognizes the challenges that people have in their lives.
There's a lot of talk lately about attack ads.
Right.
And I'm just going to read a line from an attack ad the NDP put out, and I want to ask you a question about it. So the latest attack ad says, Steve McNeil says, no to shipbuilding and high-tech workers, no to fighting for jobs, your family, your children, and their future.
Right.
Do you really believe that's true?
It is true. I certainly do believe it. It is. And he's demonstrated it time and time again in the legislature. has been enormously critical of every effort that we have made to bring jobs into this province. In fact, his attack on us are through deliberate deceptions. I mean, he literally says things about our record which are untrue. That's not standing up for families in this province. That is saying no to jobs. That is saying no to keeping young people in our province. That's saying no to the families of our province. So if you're asking me if I believe it, I absolutely do.
Last question we want to ask is, if you walk by the legislature this week, you see that there are construction workers outside repairing the exterior. It makes sense because it's the oldest legislature in all of Canada. It makes people wonder, the way we're doing politics on the inside hasn't really changed a lot since the 1800s. Do we need to modernize the way we do business in the legislature, you as elected officials?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think, in fact, there have been enormous changes in politics over the last number of years. I mentioned the social media just as one of those in the way in terms we communicate with people. Certainly, even the advent of things like television in the legislature have meant big changes for the way that things are done in the House of Assembly. The rules of the legislature have changed dramatically. I think there needs to be more done on that in terms of, making the legislature kind of a more family-friendly place and encourage. Well, just the hours that we work right now are not very conducive to
family-friendly for legislators.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to attract people into political life if they look at the way that the life is conducted and say, that doesn't really work for me and my family. I'm at a certain point in my life that that doesn't work for me, and I think that's unfortunate. It mitigates mostly against younger people coming into political life. Every legislator has an enormous amount of committee work that they do, so we could deal with that in a better way just to make it easier for people to get into political life, I believe. Well, I tell you, I do come to the market. I won't say necessarily to this market often because, of course, there's a market in downtown Dartmouth, which I go to. We were just recently in the Truro market. Before that, we were in the market in Wolfville. So I get around to the markets. Here, I don't know if anybody has tried the lavender booth down here, but if you haven't tried the lavender pepper, then you're really missing out. It's an incredible product, and they do a great job.
Darrell Dexter, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see you.
Likewise.